So we here have a situation we can solve it in two ways. The first is by using a graphing calculator. So let's hop to our buddy Desmos here, and we can plug in for this equation right off the bat, and then we can analyze it a little bit better. Negative 4, negative 4.9. We'll just say x squared here, right? Because we know that that's what they're really saying there. Plus 25x. We realize that we're dealing with a parabola here. And this shape makes sense because if we read the story, what they're talking about is after approximately how many seconds will the ball hit the ground? So they're a classic question. Either that or like rockets are being launched or someone's throwing a rock from somewhere. Rockets, balls, and rocks is really what they use for these examples. And they're saying after how many seconds will the ball hit the ground? Well, if h represents our height, that's then our y here. Remember, y goes up and down. And then t, which is represented by x, as you go from left to right, that's how much time has passed. Well, if we follow this trajectory, we can see that it's at its highest point at 2.5 seconds, but that's not what they're asking us. Sometimes they will. And then its lowest points, the only time it's on the ground is at 5.1 seconds and then at 0 seconds. Well, in a story, it makes sense that this is where you're launching from. So the only thing that really makes sense is that 5.1 second mark, which makes that D. Now, what if you don't have a graphing calculator or you just don't like using that? Well, you can still factor this out because when you factor, that's really what you're doing to solve for a parabola. When you're like that's how you find the zeros or the x-intercepts, because that's really what this is asking for. What are the x-intercepts? You can do that by just rewriting this. And it turns out in a situation like this, because I see that 25t, trying to factor 4.9 and 25t, we can't do that in our brains, but we can very easily do that if we round it up to 5. And we can see the differences here are so great that it's not going to hurt us. 25t, then we can factor out 5t out of this. And then we'd end up with, and I'm gonna make this negative here, 5t. And then we would just have t minus 5 here, and this would be equal to 0. Remember, when you're trying to find the x-intercept, you want to set h, or in this case y, to 0. And we can now rewrite, to solve for t, well, we can divide both sides by negative 5t, and that just leaves us with, that cancels that out, and 0 divided by anything is just 0. So then you're just now left with t minus 5 equals 0, which means t would equal 5, and that's what gives us D.